You're listening to the Fitzy and Wippa podcast.
We're about to speak to Ian Roberts. Ian's about to call in. But this debate that... I suppose the only silver lining that we have in this debate is that we are talking about it again. But unfortunately, we have been set back again when we found out yesterday that 7 Manly Sea Eagles players are refusing to wear the Pride jersey on Thursday night.
MDG, just on that, Fitz, there was reports this morning that was now more than 7 players.
Yeah, a couple of extra players are considering it. Manly named their team last night and it is just the 7, so you don't imagine it would change. The story this morning, though, is that a couple of players were given the opportunity to make their first grade debut, but they opted against playing. So they weren't necessarily dropped, they just chose not to play.
I think what's interesting too, Fitz, is that it's not a reflection of society. I see this as a religious thing, and it's a religious element, and it's not you and I, because we don't follow a faith to that chord and that line. So I don't think this represents community, and I think that's important to point out.
But there's a very big representation of religion in Australia.
Yes, there is.
And we need to get past
But
this.
it's not every religious following
And the fact
that has an
every
issue.
jersey that supporters could buy has sold out with the Pride colours on it.
Exactly.
Reflects
that
well.
reflects on society
does.
wanting to get behind.
Manly called a press conference yesterday. This is what Coach Des Hasler had to say.
The intent of the rainbow colour application of our jersey was to represent diversity and inclusion. Sadly, the execution of what was intended to be an extremely important and pioneering initiative was poor. We wish to sincerely apologise for the mistakes we have made.
One man who played 213 first grade games for Manly. He represented New South Wales. He represented Australia. One of the most courageous, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well, is Ian Roberts, and he joins us now. Ian, thanks for coming on the show, buddy.
Good morning, folks. How is everyone?
We're good, mate. We appreciate your time. Firstly, what did you think of Des's press conference yesterday? There was lots of apologies happening.
Absolutely. I think it was wonderful that Des and David Cherry Evans and the team got up and admitted that there was a breakdown in communication, and they acknowledged that they probably the club probably wouldn't move forward like that again, trying to organise a Pride round. I think that it needs to be respected. And I just want to also say, mate, for the 7 players sitting out, they shouldn't be vilified. It's their religious right. Or cultural, or whatever reasoning for it. But I did say yesterday, and I want to be clear now, I did say yesterday that I absolutely respect that it's their decision to make this to stand down. I also want to say that I'm not saying I respect that decision, but I absolutely respect it's their decision to step down, mate.
Ian, you announced to the world in 1995. I mean, we talk about progression, right? We're in 2022 now, and you think that progression is getting better, but then you see something like this happen with 7 players not playing. I mean, you announced to the world that you were gay in 1995. I can only imagine back then how hard it was. How long were you grappling with that decision to come out and tell everybody?
Since I was a teenager. I mean, I can never remember not being gay, and I would say that's true of most experiences for the LGBTIQA+ community. It was only at Manly that I felt safe enough to do that. I mean, when I was playing for South, I didn't feel like I was in a safe enough environment, to be honest and open. At Manly I did, which is a wonderful reflection of that. From Manly I went to the Cowboys, and let's think about this. In 1997 I played at the Cowboys. They made me captain of the club. That was a game man led, in a professional team sport. So yes, progressively rugby league was a step ahead of the game. But I can tell you, mate, we've fallen away a bit, and that's putting it mildly.
Ian, you know what's interesting? I mean, and this is what I assume you're extremely frustrated about. Yes, we're having the conversation now, which is healthy, right? And we've hit this point. It's just a shame we had to stumble our way to this point because, when you talk about the adoption of a Pride round or the recognition of diversity, there was a great opportunity here. And you knew about this round and this inclusion a long time ago. And really, they should have had you down at the club speaking with the players and not them finding out so late in the game.
Mate, there's organisations. I mean, I'm patron of an organisation called Pride in Sport. I'm also ambassador of another organisation called Proud to Play, who actually, what they do is they actually facilitate Pride rounds. The club obviously weren't aware of those types of organisations. There are organisations out there who do this stuff.
They stuffed it up.
But we have to move forward from here. Yes, they stuffed it up, and it could have been done better. But I would also say, guys, folks, that it doesn't end after Thursday night games. This is now, like in the mindset now. Like, there are going to be Pride rounds. I mean, this is now going to affect the culture of rugby league, the culture of professional sports. How do we move forward? I think I've got to be honest. I haven't had 24 hours to think about this now. This now affects all the sponsors involved.
Yep.
All the sponsors of the club, they have to look at this. For all those 7 players who have stood down, their personal apparel sponsors, and now have to reconsider how this affects them. Is this good enough? In 2022, is it okay to shun a whole community for religious or cultural, beliefs?
But then you look at
but guys, I get involved in this because I still think people are missing it. The people hardest hit here are those people dealing with their sexuality and sexual identity issues out in the suburbs who haven't been able to be open and be forthright. They're now being told that they are potentially not welcome at certain clubs.
You got emotional talking about that yesterday, Ian, because there's still young men and women out there that are taking their lives.
I don't want to start reciting all those terrible statistics. Like the LGBTIQA plus community, 11 times more likely to take their own lives because of suicide. Like, those types of things are frightening, and we need they're catastrophic consequences, potential consequences from situations of what we're talking about right now. Like, a Pride round is about inclusion. It's about celebrating people. It's about letting people know that they're worthy and that they are welcome, that they are part of this of the sporting community, that you are welcome here at our club. That's what a Pride round is. It isn't about being exceptional in some way or demanding special rights. It's about total equality. It's kind of weird, but I still think people think after marriage equality, that was the end of it. Like, we dealt with this program, with this problem. Yeah. That's not the end of it, And the Warringah were like one of the. I think they polled it about 75% for the yes vote. This is, and then the other thing is, this whole reaction is as much as I'm a 57-year-old gay guy, and so this is not an unfamiliar story for me. I was expecting pushback a month ago when I was initially approached about this Pride round. I was like, oh God, there's going to be some pushback. I've got to be honest, I was quite surprised it took so long for the pushback.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, so we still have a long way to go. I'm telling you, there's still so much improvement. This doesn't end. This doesn't end on Thursday night after the game.
Well, how do we get around religion then? Because this will happen forever, Ian. This is the thing. And we have a huge amount of players that are in there that religion prevents us. We want to get the message out to the next generation that it's okay to come out, and if you feel like this, that you can talk. So how do we get around the religious element? Because it'll be there forever, Ian.
Mate, it's a $64 million question right there. I mean, but there is, there's a diversity and inclusion policy in every NRL contract. That needs to be focused on here too. Yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. But, it's always going to be an obstacle. There's always going to be pushback.
I think, Ian, one thing to point out, though, is there's a difference between the religion and the religion that's followed by some of the players, and there's the club and the policy and the culture that they put in place. So I would like to think that the clubs are strong enough to put their hand up and say, yes, we have players that follow a faith and that's what their faith dictates. But as a club and as an organisation, we say you're welcome. Because I would hope to think...
I absolutely agree, guys.
I would hope to think the clubs could separate it and say, well, that's a policy and that's a faith that individual players will follow. We can't control that. And they have the right to do that. But as a club, we say everybody is welcome and we celebrate diversity. I think that's where the line needs to be made. The clubs need to put their hand up and say, we're here.
I absolutely agree, guys. I absolutely agree. It's a conversation that's going to be ongoing and we need to have.
Mate, you carry a lot of weight. You carry a lot of weight, Ian, and you are such a courageous man. You're going to be there Thursday night. How much does that mean to you to walk out onto that oval?
Wonderful, mate. Like, it's just a wonderful experience. It's a wonderful first for the rugby league community, you know. And we can't let this take away everything in the Pride round. Originally, let's not forget, guys. Originally, it was a women's round, and then they added the Pride round in because they wanted to diversify and be more inclusive. So, but these guys are also stepping away from the women's round.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw any more fuel on the fire. But I'm just saying there were so many consequences and outcomes from this. That 24 hours in the track, I'm seeing it a little bit different as well.
Mm-hmm.
No, we appreciate your time, mate. Enjoy your night on Thursday night, and thanks for coming on the show, Ian.
Pleasure, guys. Just take care.
Thanks, Ian.
I just can't get over how courageous Ian Roberts is, and thank you very much for coming on the show.
Do you know what I wanted? You could talk to him forever, couldn't you, Fitz?
Oh, you could.
I wanted to ask him what advice he would give somebody playing right now that was gay and hadn't come out and told the world. And, it's even at the point, we were talking about this the other day, there was a story about somebody coming out and saying, I'm gay. And I thought, are we still having to come out?
Well, this is the thing.
Like, shouldn't it just be I'm seeing so-and-so now?
Well, but see, he would say that there'd be so many young men that would be gay or bisexual now and that are still scared in 2022
because of their profession
to do it.
I mean, in the AFL, there's never been anybody that's put their hand up.
No.
And spoken openly about it.
Sarah's given us a call from Penrith. What did you want to say, Sarah?
I just wanted to say that I feel like the Manly club went about it the wrong way. I feel like they should have sat down properly with the players and, as Ian said, got other professionals involved to explain what it's about and why they're doing it. I feel like it was a little bit of a marketing ploy to just throw that in last minute.
I agree, Sarah. Yep. It's in the paper today that this round was talked about for the past year at the club, but the players that are involved, and this is where you do have to feel sorry for them, they weren't informed about it until they read the Daily Telegraph during the week. They found out through the paper.
And the division this will cause between them as teammates.
Agreed.
That's unfair.
That's why there were so many apologies yesterday too, with Des in the press conference, but also, Sarah, not only is it the women's round, it's a got you for life, Gus Wallen, and the great work that he does on mental health. There's the aspect of that celebrated this round as well to raise awareness.
All taken away.
They couldn't have got the timing worse.
All taken away.
Unbelievable.
Like, it's crazy.
PR nightmare.
13 24 10, get involved. George from Windsor. What did you want to say, George?
Hi, guys. Nice that you're sort of like looking at the whole picture of things and getting different perspectives. I'm actually from the gay community myself. I lost my whole family 15 years ago when I came out. But just really appreciative of like the football clubs and stuff and the AFL as well that do the Pride games to show that there is support out there for us and there's always somewhere that we can go and get help if we feel that like life's crushing around it.
Interesting, George, that Ian was saying how if this was handled correctly, there would have been the right organisations that you talk about that could have come in and given a greater view and some further education on the topic instead of it being handled more as a surprise. And by the way, we're wearing these on the weekend.
Yeah, because it doesn't give people time to have a think about it and realise actually what a great thing it is to have it out there.
Learn from it.
George, as a member of the gay community, this was an interesting one that I got from a gay man on Twitter yesterday who replied to me, and he said, you talk about inclusion, and I this was amazing for him to think about this, but he said, I actually feel for those players because if you're talking inclusion, you've got to talk inclusion of their beliefs and how they feel. Is there an element of that, George, that you feel with their religion?
Yeah, because they, in a way, they're now getting ostracised like the gay community used to many years ago and still does to a point today, yeah.
That's the thing. If the players they don't have an issue with the gay community, and that's their stance. It's their faith. It's their strict faith is what they're following.
Well,
so
none of them have spoken.
No,
and that's
they haven't.
The thing. So everyone is making grand assumptions on how they've come to their decision, and they've been named. It's,
Well, Matty de Groot, we're about to go to news now, but there are, we're talking whispers now, and Matt, I don't know if you can tell us, but the players that have come in for the 7 players, there may be players in that new 7 that might say, well, we don't want to play either.
Yeah, it's more players who were asked to be part of the squad and replace the 7 who,
first gamers,
given the opportunity to make their first grade debut. And for a lot of these guys, if they're on the fringes, this could be their only crack, have still said no, which is a phenomenal statement.
Do you know what? There's a couple of old legends from Manly today who did say, well, there's some great opportunities for some young kids to really prove themselves on Thursday night.
Time to step up
and stay in the side.
100%. I mean, it is a huge game. It's also, and it's worth pointing out, it is a gotcha for life match as well. The two sides are playing for the Gotcha for Life Cup, which we know Gus Wallen, who's done a huge amount of work for it, which is worth pointing out as well, because it is a match that is designed to promote the importance of mental health. Yeah. And it's either ironic, it's poetic, or it's disappointing that the whole conversation gets derailed by this. But these two sides are trying to do their best, and everyone is trying to do their best, and it's worth recognising that Gotcha for Life Cup as well.
Well done, mate.
The Fitzy and Wippa podcast.